want to fill in the chart and graph the function with asymptotes and anything else we can find. Symmetry is simple. We just start out step 1. We're going to plug in negative x for f of x. And as you plug in negative x, notice that that doesn't change. It still stays x squared over x squared minus 9. So that means we have symmetry about the y-axis. Y-axis. Okay, from there, so yes and no. Next, we're going y-intercepts. Y-intercepts are easy. Plug in 0 for x. Y equals 0 over 0 minus 9, which obviously is 0. And if the y-intercept is 0, then the x-intercept is also 0. So not a whole lot of extra work to do there. So 0 and 0. Now we're talking about the asymptotes. So vertical asymptotes, we know we have to factor this to be x minus 3 times x plus 3. That's going to give me vertical asymptotes at x equals plus or minus 3. Horizontal asymptotes, if you look at the video for 4 and 5, you're simply going to go through that process of determining that n is equal to m, therefore y is equal to a over b, which is 1 over 1 plus whatever k values there. There is no k values, so simply y equals 1. So we're going to go ahead and plot those. We've got asymptotes at plus or minus 3 and y equals 1. Okay, now these are going to show up in one of a couple different ways. So depending on how things show up, if you end up with graphs like this, then you'll have a parabola down here. If you end up possibly with alternating graphs so that they end up like this and like this, then this will end up being a cubic function type thing there. It kind of depends on what you end up with, and the reality is that we'll be able to plot points and figure that out. All right, so right now let's finish filling this in. We know vertical asymptote was x equals plus or minus 3, and that's got to be an equation of a line, and y equals 1. So now let's go ahead and plot some points and see where we're at. Now we've already got 1 point right there. So strategically, let's plug in some points at -4, -1, 1, see what's going on inside, and +4. Now the nice part is that because of the squares, the negatives and positive answers are going to be the same. That'll make our life a little bit easier. When we plug in -4, 16 divided by 16 minus 9, which is 16 over 7. So a little bit more than 2, right? So that means this is also down here at 4 is going to be 16 over 7. When we plug in -1, we're going to get 1 divided by 1 minus 9, which is -8, or -1/8. And that's the same thing that's going to happen when you get +1, so -1/8. So as we plot these points, we're going to get -4, a little bit more than 2, +4, a little bit more than 2, negative 1, negative 1/8. So it's going to go here, positive 1, 1/8. So this is our graph. From here, we know that these are going to approach the asymptotes here, go that way, and approach the asymptotes here. And I probably didn't have to plug in the points for 1 and negative 1. We knew this was symmetrical about the y-axis and not about the origin because of that answer there. Last thing we probably should get in the habit of doing is labeling our asymptotes. X equals negative 3, x equals positive 3, y equals 1. And done.